You're listening to episode 589 of the Father Bills podcast. Welcome back. This week's episode is entitled, Put God at the Center, given on the 8th Sunday in Ordinary Time, 2017. So we hear in the scriptures, in the gospel, from Jesus, no one can serve two masters. He will either hate one and love the other, or be devoted to one and despise the other. This statement challenges us about what is our ultimate focus. We are all serving something or someone. Even if you would disagree, think about it. So what is it or who is it for you? Is it money? Are you serving for money? Praise? Fame? Honor? Or power? These don't mean much and go nowhere. But how about a someone? How about is your spouse your center? Or your children? Or your boss? Now, all of these people are good, and we should be serving. But are they the ultimate focus of our life? Are they the gravitational singularity around which you live, move, and have your being? Who matters the most? Is it yourself? Do your opinions reign supreme? And for some who do, they will not have heard what I just said because they've already sold their soul to the captain of their own ship, and no one's going to tell them what to do. Oh, wait, sound familiar? How many times have we probably said, no one's going to tell me what to do? Oops. Many years ago, not in this parish, but in a previous parish, I was preaching on the 7 principles of Catholic social justice, and it happened to be an election year. Actually, those go together quite well. But at the end of Mass, I was waiting at the entrance and greeting people, and 2 particular folks came by, separate from each other. And one said, "Thanks, Father, except I was asleep for most of your homily." I'm like, oh. The other person came up, not aware of the other one, and said, "Father, nobody's going to tell me what to do, not even in the church, so I'm going to vote the other way." First of all, I didn't tell anybody how to vote. But I wonder, who are these people serving? Could it possibly be themselves? Now, granted, they may have had a bad day. We've all had them, right? We said things that we kind of regret later. Or maybe they were tired from work, in which case, falling asleep in the middle of a homily, I get it. But of course, then I could have also offered a really boring homily, and I might have been really bossy at the same time. And so, who knows, right? All these are possible. But it did make me think. As I was preparing for this homily, I thought, why would someone find the topic of social justice boring? Have you ever been dished out some injustice? I think we all have. It didn't bore you at the moment, did it? All right. The genocide of millions of babies being killed in abortion is boring. Something's wrong, right? Or the person that says, no one's going to tell me what to do. I start to ask myself, I wonder how many times my preference has been the focus of what I've chosen to do, and not based on the common good or the truth. It started making me think. See, we have a culture that has some amazing things about it. Our foreign priests who have come have all said things like, it's amazing how we as a culture have a dignity about the rule of law. When it comes out, that generally, more than not, people obey it. Just go to a third world country and try to drive a car. Just try it. Or some other European country where, let's just say, the rules of the road are suggestions. Go to Italy. I remember being in Mexico, which is it's like a second world country in some sense, because of such poverty. But to stop at a stop sign, you'll get honked at. What are you thinking? There's plenty of room here. There's nobody in the intersection. Just go. Alta does not mean stop. I mean, technically it does. But it means slow down, look, and then go fast, right? Luckily, I was never driving. Boy, would that have been a problem. But I would take a bus or a Kombi, which is basically a Volkswagen bus. You know, their Volkswagens look brand new. Why? Because they're still being made. You know that old 70s version? It's pretty awesome. Anyhow, I diverged. But the way these buses go through these intersections, and help me, correct me if I'm wrong here, is when there's a red light, and they're like 4 or 5 cars back, they just go into the left lane where, of course, no traffic is coming because, right, the other traffic is stopped, and they just go straight into the intersection, which has to stop the traffic going the other way, right? So now the traffic's going the other way now until another bus comes along. Now, did I say anything about really red lights being, that was just a suggestion if it happened to slow down traffic. But it's really about the rule of the powerful in this case, who has the biggest bus. And I was just grateful to be in the biggest bus on the way there. So, but to our culture, we have a lot to say. That's wonderful. I say that because we also need to be mindful of the things in our culture that are not. So when we think about where the center of things are, ask ourselves, when we think about our culture, what is most important to our culture? What is that is most valued? Is it God? Today, maybe it's going to be Oscar. You know, the Oscars are this week or tonight. Did you know that? Oh, good. You didn't know that. It's not so bad to not have to watch performers congratulate themselves on how good of a job they did. Think about how vain that is. As I'm driving here, I'm thinking about the people that sacrifice their time in fighting fires and police work, and those are not our heroes, and actors are? Are we screwed up or what? But we want to be entertained, and I wonder if that's maybe our focus. I'm just offering these thoughts because I'm not sure it's the one that has created this existence, this planet and all that's in it and all our abilities. God, that guy? I wonder if it's the fad of the moment. Now go to India in Calcutta and ask what the fad of the moment is to somebody who's poor. They could care less. So what does our culture revolve around? See, Jesus warns us that we cannot serve both God and mammon. Now, mammon can literally be translated as money, but it really is the pursuit of wealth and security. There's one other thing that our culture revolves around, and it's probably the most dangerous of all, and this would be good for an entire seminar. And Pope Francis and both Pope Benedict have spoken about it as being the most dangerous thing in our culture, in our world, and that is relativism. Relativism. I have my truth and you have your truth. Or really, basically, relativism says, it has to conclude, there is no truth. There's no way that we can have two truths that are competing against each other. Truth cannot contradict truth. There either is truth or is not. But this philosophy says there is no truth. And I thought, that's strange. I thought you couldn't say anything definitive like there is no truth. Do you see the logic error here? By saying there is no truth is saying a definitive thing about something that isn't definitive. That's okay if you're lost on this. Just trust us that that's why there needs to be a seminar probably on this. But because we're afraid of offending people, we start to stop standing up for the truth. And if there is no truth, then we've made Jesus a liar because he said, I am the truth. Not like I know a truth or I'm truthful or truthiness or a few other things. He says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. It's either incredible, bold arrogance and a big lie, or it is real, the truth. So Jesus has a vision about things that are way bigger than ours. We don't grasp everything. But we often, I know I do, think in terms of days, like today, I have Mass, and then there's a St. Vincent de Paul meeting, and then I have youth ministry where we're going to be talking about the theology of the body. We're going to be talking about transgenderism today. Does that sound exciting? Teens? Yeah? Has anybody actually tried to explain this to you? What's wrong with that? Well, if you haven't made it to the theology of the body, this is your chance. What should matter in our lives? What does Jesus say matters? Or does it matter what Jesus says? See, that's kind of convicting. I mean, we're all guilty. I am guilty. Every time I choose to sin, I'm said, Jesus, you don't matter. I know what you said, love my enemy. We've been listening to this Sermon on the Mount for weeks now. We end here because Lent is about to happen. And I have to realize I'm tempted to do what I will and whatever I want. And I don't care what he says. In fact, I'd like him to just blink when I go do whatever I want to do. Because sometimes when I do what I want to do, isn't really what's good for everybody else. And ultimately, therefore, it's not good for me. But I'm delusional when I do this. And so I ask your prayers. I say this because I know I'm not alone. I hear confessions. But you know, the good thing about a confession is it's a recognition of a truth that I have fallen somehow. If truth is relative, let's just board up the confessional. There's no need for it because I have a truth and you have a different truth. See how this goes? But Jesus is the truth, and he has eternity in mind, not just today or tomorrow or week. Imagine what would be different if we thought in terms of eternity. Anyone who has lost a loved one has had this forced upon them. Where is my beloved? Where is this person? They've died. It forces on us a choice. Am I going to buy into the world's view that there is no afterlife? That there is nothing else other than this, and so therefore we must grab everything we can get while we're here? Or is there something more than this? And what am I doing in preparation of it? And how am I reacting in my sadness because this person is gone? Might my sadness even be quelled a little bit because I might have a knowledge of an afterlife and maybe even a knowledge of their presence in that afterlife? In the final analysis, the question is, what's the most important thing in life? Jesus says and asks, is it clothing or food or drink? Well, no. But don't tell a model on the runway that, right? Or when she trips, the world has just come crashing down, right? I have a friend who I was just reading her Facebook entry. Her son is in the world curling championship. You know, curling's a big, I'm not a curling expert here, but it's a big rock that you put across ice and you try to get it into a bullseye on the other side. And apologize for any curling experts that are hearing this, that I'm butchering the technicalness of the sport. But they work so hard and so long to go from local to national to world, and they got silver. Crushing. Except then she says, and then I think about a good friend of mine who needs a transplant, and if that person doesn't get a transplant, she dies. Now what's more important? See, that's where sports, you got to be careful. Good sportsmen and women know that this is work or a diversion, but this is not life. Volleyball, is not life. Softball is not wrestling, is not life. But you can learn. I know, now you're not listening anymore, right? But they're means to understand things about life if done right. A good coach is not all of. I tried out for basketball, and I wasn't that great. Granted, I might have even been kicked off, but I exited as soon as I heard the coach, and you've heard me say it. He said, "You must eat, live, drink, sleep, and believe basketball." I'm like, whoa. Now, I was a teenager, and I had just really come to a new faith experience. I go, that ain't happening. That's so screwed up, I can't even describe how mad that is. I know he's trying to motivate the team, but I'm like, I think I'm going to get involved in my youth group. That's what I did. I guess I'm a priest now. I guess it worked out all right, huh? But Jesus tells us not to worry about what you are to eat and what you are to wear. Don't obsess on these things. How often do we do that? We wake up, we look in the mirror, and I don't know about you. Okay, I'm really an exception. I go, black or black? You know? Should I wear my black shoes or those black shoes? You know? Actually, being a priest has kind of simplified all that kind of stuff. And I don't like black. So every day I go, here we go. Can we possibly allow ourselves to get out of the center? I think that's what we struggle with. I know I do. That I think about my thinking, my will, what I want, and my supposable needs. I need this. I need that. I regret so many times when I think about as a child when going into stores and grabbing my mom's shoulder, I need this, I gotta have. My dad was very good. You don't need anything. Oh, okay. I mean, we had a house, we, sheltered, and that was not a real favorable response I liked. I mean, but as I look back and I go, well, Dad is right. 2 weeks ago, we had no power here. We kind of need it, don't we? We need to be able to have basic sustenance. And you know what we also need? We need love. And without that, we're doomed. And it's not about the love. Remember, I thought, is your spouse your focus or your kids your focus? This may sound strange, but they can't be. If you put your spouse as number one, she or he is going to disappoint you. Well, you know that already if you've been married for like a couple months, right? Okay, but attention young adults. Jesus is the only one that can satisfy. And imagine this. In fact, Aristotle spoke about this thing. There has to be a third thing that you both have that is first. As Christians, God is first. And when you share this God being first between the two of you, it does miracles in the love that you have. But God, then we hear in the Psalm 62, we thought, we're restless. St. Augustine said, we're restless, Lord. We're restless. We hear in Psalm 62, but rest in God alone. I can't tell you how many times, just this last week, I was so panicked because I'm working with some people with very difficult situations. I could just blow them off, but I've chosen to enter into their heartache and their stress and their pain, and it just racks me. It just kills me, But I go home, and I rearrange the furniture because right now it's very intense. And I have a little chair, well, it's actually a big chair, and I point it towards the outside. So I can remember what's more important. I look at these mountains, I go, I didn't make any of these things. I'm not responsible for any of that. I look at the snow that's dusting the mountaintops. I didn't do that either. There's somebody else in control here. Yesterday I did a burial, and as I'm doing it, I hear the birds twittering. And part of me is like going, shut up. I'm busy here. Don't you see what's going on? I'm so upset. And God just says, no. There's something bigger. Look at the birds of the air. They do not, sow or reap or anything like that. I'm like, oh, enough of you. So I go back and I sit down. I go, I'm so sorry, Lord. You're everything. Without you, I am totally lost. And only in him is our strength, we hear in the psalm. Only in him is our refuge. Trust in him And people will see him as trustworthy because you are. You may be looking like a fool. The scriptures tell us the wisdom of God looks foolish to the world. The prophet Isaiah even says this, if a mother, even a mother, should forget her child, I will never forget you. How many times have we wished, God, where are you? He's reminding us, I'm always here. No matter what goes on, no matter how dark the darkness is, no matter how sad the sadness is, I am here. So clearly God cares for us, because you know what? Nobody else, who else will do that? Maybe some of our best friends most of the time. But they're human. Even they will fail us. We'll even fail ourselves. So know what is most important. And so may you know deep in your heart the God who created you and wants you. May you enthrone him in the seat at the center of your heart and listen to him and obey. Serve him with all your heart, soul, and mind, and you will receive praise from him who is God alone. We seek the desire of praise for others. How about the praise from God? And when we receive it, we will no longer worry because we know the shepherd of our souls, and he is all that we need. And tomorrow then will take care of itself. Thank you again for listening to this episode of the Father Bill's podcast. If you have any questions or comments or just want to shoot me a hello over the internet, just go ahead and go to my website, fatherbill.org. That's FRBILL.org. And there you'll find all the ways you can connect with me via either Facebook or Twitter, or even there's a connection there. You can go and fill out a form and it'll email me your thoughts and questions. And until next time, may God bless you and have a great week. Bye-bye.